Hey there, good day everybody. Hi, I'm Steve Farrell, the co-founder of Humanities Team. I'm here with a special guest. I'm going to introduce her in just a moment. You can see her on screen here with me. Big shout out to everybody who's out there on humanities.team, on the Humanities Team Facebook pages, on Suzanne Giesemann's Facebook page. I kind of gave away my guest here. And the Sign Network, John Raymer, all of the friends that are out there on these other Facebook pages around the world. Hey, big welcome to you. Thanks for joining us. Now, this is a live program. I'm coming to you from Boulder, Colorado, and you're gonna find out in a minute where my special guest is coming in from. Now, as always, we can see your comments on Facebook and questions and things. So just in the chat, if you've got a question or a comment that you want to bring to my guest or me, post it and we'll try and get to those here during the hour. Now, Humanities Team is a global nonprofit. We are, our mission is to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. And of course, pervasive means it's common, it's growing, and it may or may not be ubiquitous. So that's a big lift to 19 years from now for conscious living to be pervasive worldwide. But my special guest here today, and so many other leaders, and I'm going to guess most of you viewers, all of you viewers probably, that this is your mission too, right? In this generation, that we make conscious living a reality. So, and we have a project called PACE, where we talk about picking up the pace, which stands for Planetary Awakening and Conscious Evolution. And then we have other programs that tie into this. We're going to get into all of these things during the hour. Our theme here during the hour is Let Your Spirit Soar. And let me give our special guest a proper introduction. Suzanne Giesemann is a retired U.S. naval officer, mystic, medium, messenger of hope, and the founder and teacher of The Awakened Way, a path to knowing who you are and why you're here. She is a former U.S. Navy commander who served as a commanding officer and aide to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Yes, that's right. Aide to chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on 9/11. Today, Suzanne provides stunning evidence of the existence of universal consciousness and our interconnectedness and oneness. Wow, Suzanne, so good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Steve, and hi, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, viewers, for being here. We always have a blast with our Accelebration programs that are live. Suzanne, where are you coming in from?
Today, let's see, what day of the week is it? I'm in Kalispell, Montana. My husband and I take what I call the Messages of Hope on the road half the year, every year, and I basically wake up and can't remember where I am. I love the traveling, though. It's great.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. Wow, we've been real excited about Suzanne joining us. And Suzanne, let's go to this story, which is really phenomenal. Most of us on the conscious journey do take this U-turn where we're more living the, it's not really unconscious life, but more mainstream conscious life. And then there's this whole U into living consciously. Now, your story is extraordinary. Where you flew on Air Force One with the president, as I understood it, and you were working with the Joint Chief of Staff. So now, how in the world, Suzanne, did you journey from that role to what you're doing today?
Well, 9/11 was the first push to get me asking the deep spiritual questions. I didn't get satisfactory answers at that time. I tried to go down the traditional religious path, and that didn't sit right with me. And so I retired from the Navy with exactly 20 years to the date because I realized life is too short not to live your dreams while you can. So we sold the house and cars and went literally sailing into the sunset on our sailboat and crossed the Atlantic Ocean in our boat with our little dachshund with us, and life was idyllic. I had essentially run away from life. But I learned that you can't run away from the life lessons that we all come here to learn. And sometimes those are extremely painful, but oh, do we grow from those? I see our challenges now as opportunities. And the greatest challenge of my life was when we got an email while sailing off the coast of Croatia that we needed to call home. And that phone call changed our life when we found out that my stepdaughter, Suzanne, a sergeant in the Marine Corps at the time, had been crossing the flight line at work and was struck by lightning. And that bolt out of the blue, because Steve, literally the sky was blue at the time, killed her and her unborn baby. So now I couldn't ignore the questions. Why do things like this happen to people? Is this all there is? And I won't go into the whole story. That's told in several of my books and in a documentary about this transition online, Messages of Hope. But I went seeking answers through meditation to get my own answers, to try to connect with Susan if her spirit really was still here, and also by seeking out a medium, never having any idea that I had this ability and would one day be working as a medium. So when I teach people today how to connect with higher consciousness, be that your own loved ones or your guides, any higher consciousness, I tell them that you don't have to know that you are born with this ability. It's something that we can all develop. And that's been my mission, and it's my mission now.
That is an extraordinary story, Suzanne. Thank you for sharing so personally. Wow, well, to all of us that are on this conscious journey, just a big thank you for coming in with your own leadership and your contributions. And as you mentioned, you shared twice a year, you're out on a bus just traveling around the country so that you can meet with people and review your books and your online programs, etc.
Yeah, half the year.
I know there's
really
something you wanted to bring in too. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Something I wanted to bring in is just that, as you mentioned in the bio, that I have distilled all of the learning that I've gotten from the spirit world. Daily, I get messages from higher consciousness, from my team of guides who we call Sanaya. That's a whole other story. But there are over 4,000 messages that I've gotten from them that are available through my website, but they have taught me through the years all about the same oneness that Humanities Team is here to share with everybody. And the tools, the teaching, all distilled down into what you mentioned in the bio we refer to as the awakened way. And everybody that's tuning in here in some shape or form is already living the awakened way, and yet I've been shown such beautiful tools and techniques for how to do that, how to apply that in our daily life. And as this hour goes on, I'm going to share with you the latest miracle from Spirit and how we really are all part of one big web of consciousness.
Yeah, no kidding, we are. Actually, let's go into it, of just this latest miracle that demonstrates how we're, please.
Well, from day one, when I realized that we're all connected to the 1C of consciousness and that we can tap into that for insights and guidance, I began affirming and praying, make me your messenger, help me reach millions with these messages. And today is just, this just came about my collaboration with all of you at Humanities Team. And so we're going to be talking later how you're helping to share one of my online courses called Let Your Spirit Soar. And that course came about as a result of a miracle. And I don't think I've shared this story with many people, but last night when I went to bed, I prayed to my guides, let me hear from this young man in spirit named Wolf, who's one of my guides these days. I have a book called Wolf's Message, and he's a young man who passed about 2010. And he knew that he was going to pass. And Steve, he passed the same way my stepdaughter did, by a bolt of lightning out of the blue. But he left proof that the soul knows what's going to happen to it. That's all told in my book, Wolf's Message. But Wolf's Message distills down to certain principles that are the awakened way of living. So I didn't know that I would one day be teaching the awakened way. Back in 2010, when my husband and I were traveling around the country, I had just written a book called The Priest and the Medium. But Steve, that book is not about me. It's about another medium. I was so new to all of this, the greater reality and mediumship, that I had at that point only written about another wonderful medium. So I was giving presentations, short ones, around the country about the fact that we're part of a greater reality. And I got a call from a woman in Plymouth, Massachusetts, named Nancy Grata. And she said, Suzanne, would you give your 2-hour presentation at a conference that I'm going to be doing? It's called the Expect Miracles Conference. I was so pleased to be asked to speak at a conference about this topic that all of us listening today are so passionate about, our connection with a greater reality, how we can tap into higher guidance. So I said, great. Well, about 4 days before that conference, my husband and I were making our way to Plymouth, Mass. We were in the wilderness, somewhere in Western New York, I believe. And suddenly I got antsy. I said to my husband, Ty, I need index cards. I'm getting a download of information and I have to organize it. It's the same feeling I would get when a new book was coming to me, because I've written now about 13 books. And this is how spirit works through many of us. We get what I call downloads, lots of fresh insights. So we're in the middle of nowhere. We found a little market. I got index cards and I'm writing all these ideas about how to connect with higher consciousness, but fresh ideas, and filling one idea per card, spread them all out on the floor. Told me he can't make it. So I'm hoping that you could give your 2-hour presentation Saturday. I'll take other speakers. We'll fill in Saturday, and maybe you could do another conference presentation on Sunday. All of a sudden, it was like, Steve, it was like I could hear angels singing. I could see what was happening. I have goosebumps now. And I said, Nancy, I was just given a download yesterday. It's all organized. It's all laid out. The 10 keys to connecting with higher consciousness. Nancy, I have a keynote presentation that will fill Saturday. I mean, this was an outrageous claim to make, Steve. This was 2010. I had never done a full day workshop since then. That's what I do all the time. But this is a woman now who has, I think, 200 people who have paid to hear this big name speaker. And I'm putting this in her lap. And she said, give me a second. And I know that Nancy's tuned in. So this is an example for everybody listening of how moment by moment, because we're connected to higher consciousness, you can get guidance. And there was a pause. And she said, Suzanne, that guy never was supposed to do that speech. This is your conference. You're going to give that workshop and it's going to be perfect. Well, again, I have goosebumps, because for somebody to put that kind of trust in an unknown name at the time was miraculous. And she said, remember, this is the Expect Miracles Conference and we are going to have a miracle. So I had just one day to really organize this, to make an outline, and it was all there on the cards, but I had no time to practice anything. And at that time, I was still, the Navy officer. We got to practice and prepare. Today, I just so trust spirit. I never practice anything. It just flows. So I didn't know how the timing would go. And I show up Saturday morning, and there is a ballroom full of people. And the buzz is great. Everybody's all excited. And I said, Nancy, what did you tell them? And she said, I haven't told them anything. I said, you didn't tell them the big name speaker is not coming? She said, no, and it's going to be perfect. And this is when, the Navy officer really has to step in. You just have to just act and know with confidence that all is well. But today I know it's not the Navy officer part. It's just this trust in miracles. So she stood up in front of the crowd, and you could see everybody looking like, where is he? Where is he, this big name? And I'm off to the side saying, I know there is spirit guiding us, so I'm just going to trust. And she stood up and she said, ladies and gentlemen, so-and-so is not here today. Oh, Steve, you could feel this drop in energy. You didn't have to be sensitive to energy to feel this. People like looking for their purse is like, I'm going to leave. Where's my money back? And she said, but we have a real treat for you today. Suzanne Giesemann is going to give her 10 keys to connecting with higher consciousness. And then you could hear and feel everybody saying, who's Suzanne Giesemann? I don't know this person. And Nancy said, everybody, this is the Expect Miracles conference, and you are going to experience a miracle today. And if by lunchtime, just stay with us till lunchtime, you're not completely satisfied, you can leave. I will give all of your money back. But I know that every one of you is going to experience a miracle here today. Here is Suzanne. And I just stood up there with this little outline in front of me and just would look down and went through those 10 steps. At lunchtime, the buzz was so high, nobody left. We continued on after lunchtime, and I could feel the goosebumps because I'm looking at the clock on the wall. It was supposed to end at 5. Probably around 3:45, I was at number 9 on the list. I get to number 10, we bring it on home, slide into home base at 4:59. It was a miracle. And everybody stood up. We got a standing ovation. They were all thrilled because they got practical tools about how to connect. We'd done some meditation. It was the most perfect thing I've ever experienced. It was a miracle. And afterwards, Nancy just looked smug and she said, I told you. And this was so spirit driven because you could see how that download came in. Now, here's why this long story came about, Steve. Those 10 steps were too much for anybody to remember. So I went back to spirit afterwards in meditation and I said, what do we do with this? And they showed me so beautifully how to take those 10 steps without losing any of the material and put it into 4 neat little categories. And I don't know if you know anything about military folks. Well, Steve, actually, you said your dad is a Naval Academy grad. So you may know that we love acronyms. And those 4 steps fit so beautifully into the acronym SOAR. Let your spirit soar. Where S is see the oneness, which is what awakening is all about. O is open your heart, which is so much more than just think loving thoughts. It's this whole category of things we can do once we understand what oneness is. So right away, these things are fitting together. Then you had A, attuned to higher consciousness. So now with the foundation of oneness and the practical tools for radiating our true essence as love, we can now attune to guidance at any time and connect with higher consciousness. That's the A in SOAR. And then all of this boiled down to R, reclaim your power. But it's not ego's power, it's capital P, the power of the source that breathes all of us. Practical tools how to do that. And that became, way back in 2010, Let Your Spirit Soar, which I gave around the country, which then over the years packaged into this beautiful course, which you will talk about later, are now going to make available to many more through Humanity's team. But Steve, here's the latest miracle, and this is the way life unfolds when we live the awakened way. I was thinking of the best way to describe this course to everybody. How can we do it in a nutshell? And so last night I went to bed, and as I told you, this young man, Wolf, in spirit, who gave us the awakened way of living, is one of my guides. And I went to bed and I said, come to me and show me how to talk about Let Your Spirit Soar. At 3 o'clock in the morning, and I know I asked for this, I woke up and couldn't go back to sleep. And I was shown Let Your Spirit Soar is a primer in how to live the awakened way. It is the awakened way, but I never put the two together until last night. And I woke up this morning and Steve, I'm still blown away because I also never saw that Let Your Spirit Soar was born that day at the Expect Miracles conference, where? In Plymouth, Massachusetts, less than 1 mile from where Wolf died, in Plymouth, Massachusetts, struck by lightning, right there in the place that this whole miracle of me teaching the awakened way and sharing it with millions is now unfolding. It's one miracle after
Wow.
another. And what I call a miracle is when the veil parts and we see what principle 2 of the awakened way shares, is that we are part of one big web. And so it's my greatest joy to share with everybody how we can create miracles like this all the time when we understand what's really happening here.
Wow. Thank you for telling that story, Suzanne. That was stunning. And at the Miracles Conference that this all begins. Isn't that appropriate? So, wow. What an incredible story.
Yeah.
So we're going to go now. We're going to go see a clip here of this. Let Your Spirit Soar. But before we do, I want to just share. So there was a lot here that Suzanne covered. She was sharing it's on our subscription service. So I just want to bring in that again. Humanities Team is a global nonprofit organization. Our focus is to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040, and we've got this initiative here with Suzanne, Michael B. Beckwith, Neil Donald Walsh, leaders all over the world. I'm going to guess many of you viewers that are watching this program now that are a part of this initiative to pick up the pace, planetary awakening and conscious evolution, and of course this all starts with ourself. Just like Catherine's story, it begins with our own journey into this higher consciousness. And it's not a journey to go anywhere. It's all right here within. It's more just kind of uncovering what's already there and paying attention, and just having our antennas up to what is our true nature and our true way of expressing, which is to express in a loving way, in a truthful way. So so how then do we plan to achieve this big lift where in 19 years the world is conscious, that we're living consciously? And this is where this subscription platform comes in. Humanities Team created a platform called Humanity Stream Plus. It's a subscription platform. There are numerous transformational education programs and master classes and hundreds of hours of conscious programming on it. We're going to go right now to a clip of this program that Suzanne was just describing. It's called Let Your Spirit Soar. This is a 2-minute clip from one of her transformational education programs. It's on the platform now. We're going to go look at the clip, and then Suzanne and I are going to come back and talk about it. Here we go.
Here I have a box of objects you may be familiar with. We call them paper clips. Right now, they're random bits of matter. But what happens if I take this little thing that you would understand as a magnet, and I apply the force of this magnet to these paper clips? Suddenly, they're held together. These random objects are no longer random, but are forming an object. And if I were creative enough, I might form them into the shape of letters or something. But if I take that force away, then we're left again with just random bits of matter. What point am I trying to make here? Well, there is a force that flows through you, or you would not even breathe. What do we call that force? We call it the life force. That is what holds you together. If you are to take away that life force, this body would return to dust, to the earth, like the dust in the tornado. But that life force never goes away. So now we're getting at the very essence of oneness, but we're not there yet. For now, I'd like you to spend a day thinking about this force that animates you and that animates all that is, and seeing how what we think is solid is not really solid at all. So go ahead, turn to your workbook and read the lesson for lesson 4. Work on that exercise, and after you've truly absorbed these concepts of what is really solid, we'll come back and move on.
Okay, and that's Let Your Spirit Soar, a transformational education program by Suzanne Giesemann. It's on the Humanity Stream Plus platform. Actually, you know what? Let's do this here, Suzanne. Before we talk about it, let's share a screen. We're going to go to the platform and just look at the modules because that was a short story from one of the modules. Let's go look at the whole program that you created, and then we can talk about it in a fuller context. So here we're going to just share screen and go take a look at it here now. Okay, and you can see, so this is the cool thing. This is a graphical intuitive platform. It's a breakthrough platform in the industry. There's nothing like it. Most of the hubs that are used in the transformational education industry are clunky. It's kind of hard even to get module to module, and even tougher to get class to class. As you can see, you just click on that top module and you come down into all of the modules that are part of this education program. And then when you cursor over, there's a little synopsis about each of the modules that are part of this program. Let Your Spirit Soar, an amazing program that's on the platform now. So you can see we're just cursoring over there, and you get this graphical intuitive interface. My mother, who's 87 years old, can't get lost on a platform like this. Easy to get around the modules and to get from program to program. Also, this is on Roku. It's on Amazon Prime, Google Pay, Android TV, Apple TV. So in my family likes to use Roku. We don't like sitting at the computer all the time. And boy, you know, no better way to take this in than just, we sit in our master bedroom and on Roku, we go through these master classes. We actually don't watch much mindless movie type stuff because we prefer programs like this where there's just so much to sponge up when we talk about conscious living. So this is truly extraordinary. There's let's here now, and you can see all of the programs here. There are over 25 programs on the platform. We're adding new platforms all the time, numerous educational programs, about one a week that we're putting onto the platform. And the objective here is we want to be in every home, in every region, in every country throughout the world, and in time in every language. So this is how we can make conscious living pervasive worldwide, by bringing programs like this at an affordable price, which this is for 12 months is $497. And again, available on all of these various media beyond just the computer. And best of all, there's a 7-day free trial. So this program, Let Your Spirit Soar, you could go to, we'll put, here's a link right now in the window. You can go to the link here in the window or go to the humanitiesteam.org site, and you can just scroll through to get to this, this site, and you can enter this 7-day free trial, and then you can go through this whole program of Suzanne Giesemann's Let Your Spirit Soar. That's an amazing program. You can also see all of these other extraordinary programs that are there, and some amazing new ones that are coming here just in the next couple of weeks. One with Catherine Woodward Thomas and Dr. Laura Berman is coming to the platform here shortly. So go check it out, and if you resonate with it, there's a 7-day free trial to just look at, go through much of Suzanne Giesemann's amazing program that she has placed now on the platform. Let me come back to Suzanne. Let's talk some more about this program. And of course, we're flying, we're gonna, there's so much in it to describe, but if we just kind of fly high, what are things that you would want to emphasize here, Suzanne?
Well, it's fundamental information that I know a lot of those who are viewing now are familiar with. But the one comment I've had from people who've taken the course is that they may have known this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece, but the way it's so brilliantly knitted together, and I can say that because it wasn't me that did it. I shared with you already. This was a download from Spirit, and I was just the receiver of the information. It just takes you piece by piece through all of it in such a way that all of a sudden things that appeared to be separate are now connected, just like all of us, and they flow in a way that makes everything suddenly click together. And so people have said that the beauty of this course is that it finally connects all the dots of what we know so that it just makes sense now. And now, because it's so practical and there's so many tools, you can apply these in everyday life. Like I like to say, moment by moment. This is about conscious living. And when you live the awakened way, you know that you are consciously connected every moment. And so what? So when life gets you down, you realize this is not the only world, and you just check in with the non-physical world, and there come the answers. So that's what this course gives you, a connect the dots way of living consciously connected moment by moment.
Yes, and that was also a very nice segue into your other transformational education program, which is on the platform when you talk about the afterlife, because this oneness, of course, includes not only all of life on the planet and the cosmos, but all of the afterlife, the divine, God, angels, deceased loved ones. And of course, you have an incredible capacity there. We're going to bring in just a little bit Dee Meyer, who's part of our team and who's gone through your program. It's called Personal Mediumship Plus. Suzanne is a very gifted medium, extremely gifted medium, and has taught people to become a medium themselves. The mediums share, we all have the capacity, but most of us never learn to really tap into it. So let's talk a little bit about this other program. Again, this is also on Humanity Stream Plus, and it's called Personal Mediumship Plus.
There's just one thing that I'm just very much being guided to say, Steve. I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but one of the reasons I was drawn to Humanity's team is because you are a nonprofit organization. All of you are very clearly in this for the reason you said, to raise consciousness and get the majority of humanity there by 2040. And so this, I know how expensive it is to host platforms on the web, and so you have to charge for these. But to make every one of these courses available for that one reasonable price for an entire year, at first, to some people that may seem stunning, but to me, that is amazing. So thank you for that. The nonprofit aspect of this is hugely important to me. Personal mediumship, that course is a very new one of mine, which came about when I realized that I would say greater than 50% of the students I've taught over the years in my mediumship courses don't really intend to be mediums. They wanted to learn how to connect with their own loved ones who have passed. But the same tools, the same processes apply. So in the personal mediumship class, you learn those techniques, and believe me, there are systems that will work to connect with your own loved ones, with your guides, and with the masters, any level of higher consciousness. The beauty of personal mediumship is if you have no intention of being a medium, I don't put you to the fire and make you do a reading for someone else. That can be very awkward if that's not your goal. And it's called Personal Mediumship Plus, because the teaching that unfolds in that course from higher consciousness about who we are, about oneness and our true nature, and how to tune into our fundamental essence is very deep, very thorough. So that's the plus part. This isn't just a course in personal mediumship. It's a course of perhaps finally, truly getting this, understanding you are the entire sea of consciousness and the wave, the typical analogy. And so we really dive into that in a deep way in that course. I'm so grateful for how that one was given to me as well.
And this is an extraordinary program, Personal Mediumship Plus. I'd like to bring on Dee Meyer. Now we're going to do some things. This is all live, and we're going to try and bring in Dee here. So stand by. I think here I see her on a screen, so I think we're going to be bringing her in here in just a second. She's gone through this program. Her mother, let me let Dee tell the story here. Can people see Dee? I can see Dee on a screen. Can others see Dee on the screen? Okay, hold a minute. Again, we're trying something new. Right as it is right now, Suzanne's coming in live from Montana. I'm coming in live from Boulder, Colorado. Dee is in Jamestown, Colorado. We're cutting to clips here of these programs that we're talking about, going to the Stream Plus platform, and now we're going to try and bring in Dee here. So let's just see if this works. She had an amazing experience that came out of this Personal Mediumship Plus program created by Suzanne Giesemann. So, okay, we're going to cut to her now. Here we go.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Suzanne. Can you hear me? I hope so. So I just wanted to share my experience. I'm very lucky I get to review programming before we bring it on. And I had I've been caretaking for my father for about 9 months. My mother had passed the year before. And I just got home. Things were looking really great with my dad. So I was taking a little break, a 2-week break. I'd gotten home. And I went through the course, and I was doing some of the practice, and I was talking to my mom. And my mom said, I had asked her about what my dad needed and his caretaking. And she said, "Oh, sweetie, don't worry. Dad's coming to me. He's going to be here really soon." And I was just like, uh-oh. And it happened to be very true. He had passed a couple of weeks after that. So life was, it was very touching to have that confirmation with Mom. And my mom was very excited about having Dad with her. And I know my dad was very excited to be with my mom. So I was just so grateful to have gone through that course at this time for me in my life. It was very affirming that there's just so much more. So thank you, and back to you, and I'm deeply grateful.
Okay, thank you, Dee. And Dee shares that whole communication with her mom as her dad was passing, that was a direct result of the wisdom that came out of this Personal Mediumship Plus program that Suzanne Giesemann has created. It's also on the Humanity Stream Plus platform. Can we go, is there a way to go share screen again and go take a quick look at that program, Jim? So we're going to go to the platform so you can see this other just amazing, awesome program. Each one of these are jewels. Suzanne was sharing, there are over 25 of these master classes and transformational education programs on the platform now, and we're adding weekly. And then there are over 600 hours of conscious programming, with soon to be thousands of hours of conscious programming. Here we go. So this is the Personal Mediumship Plus program. As you can see, there's the top module, and you click on it, and then you come down into all of the other modules. And again, you can just cursor over each module, and it tells you what is being taught in this particular module. And the teaching here, Suzanne will tell us about it here in a second, but it's taking people through the process of communicating with the afterlife. This is how Dee Meyer was able to be in touch with her mom, who was getting ready to receive her dad, who then did transition within weeks. And it made her family so much more at peace to know that her dad was going to her mom, who was expecting him and was actually going to carry him back to the light. Dee had a much easier time with this transition than if it were just the standard thing of the dad is gone and who knows where he's gone and what his experience might be. So this is an extraordinary program. Suzanne, I want to thank you so much for this program that's also on the platform. Let's come back to, and again, this graphical intuitive interface, you can go to, we'll on the screen show you how you can go to the Humanity Stream Plus It's soon going to be right on our website. So you just go to humanitiesteam.org. Boom, it's right there. Actually, within a week, we'll have it right on the on our homepage itself. Right now, you have to scroll. You have to go through a page or two to get there. But there, where you look at it, it's like what you see when you're on Netflix or Amazon Prime, where it's that intuitive, that graphical, that easy to just migrate from program to program. And again, you can get on Roku and Apple TV and Amazon Fire and all these things, so you don't have to sit at your computer. So, and then there's the 7-day free trial. So again, you can go check out this program in 7 days with the Let Your Spirit Soar program. Okay, now, so Suzanne, let me come back to you just to share what you'd like to share about this other amazing program.
Well, I'm just so grateful. I didn't know that about Dee until you just shared it, but it's so clear that there are no accidents. Just again, part of that web. How were we drawn together to make this collaboration happen right when Dee needed it? And so something in her soul said, you know, pay attention. Let's start with this one. But what is so beautiful about the way I've been guided throughout this work is I can see that my background as that Navy commander was very left brain, very logical, very analytical, and very skeptical. So there are people who have not been taught what I call evidence-based mediumship, who are very satisfied with lovely messages from across the veil. It's beautiful to hear from our loved ones that they love us and that they are with us, and this is true. But when my stepdaughter passed, if I had not received verifiable evidence that we were absolutely communicating with her across the veil, I would not be where I am today. And so I've learned methods from some beautiful evidence-based mediums and then developed my own methods. And all of my courses now teach others, let's ask those in spirit for validation. Let's get evidence from them that we really are communicating with you, that you are right here. And that's the way I teach in all my courses, especially this one. Well, Dee got the greatest evidence ever when her mother said, this is what's about to be happening. She prepared her daughter for her dad's passing. That is so validating. And so I teach in that course how to ask even your own loved ones for evidence, or how many of you listening now really feel you're talking with your guides, but you say, maybe this is my imagination, maybe I'm making it up. So in all of my courses, I show you how to discern the difference and how to even ask for evidence from your own loved ones and your guides. They never mind, because they know that it's really helpful and healing when we know for sure this is real. And I assure you, this connection is real, because you are a soul here, right now, not just when you pass.
Yes, we are. We're on an eternal journey, everlasting life, and we're limitless. All of these things are true, and it's just a matter of, and we don't have to go anywhere. It's actually all right there within. We just have to uncover what is already there. And as you mentioned, most of us start as you did here, Suzanne, where we're skeptical of, oh gosh, you know, is this some new age thing? Is this, even some would say, some think, oh, is it demonic or something? But the thing is this is ancient wisdom, you know, that we are all one. I myself first came across this wisdom in Conversations with God, Book 1, back in 1994. And it was the thing, that was my awakening device, where I was a technology entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. I started 2 companies that went to 75 million in revenue in the 1990s, living the American dream. But I realized as I became awake myself that I was just playing a kid's game, you know, starting companies and growing them, getting that top line growth and profit growth. And then we sold the first company to NEC out of Japan. To do that serially and just start companies and grow them and sell them for financial reward it was a kid's game. And I knew I was called to something much more important in my life. And of course, after I sold everything, a few years later, then I helped Neil Donald Walsh launch Humanities Team in June 2003 in Wilsonville, Oregon. Here we are 18 years later. And wow, just growing by leaps and bounds. And And you know what? It's all spirit guided. We call this the God job in Humanities Team. It's spirit guided, and it's all because of viewers like you that are watching this program. That where we got past that skeptical thing way back when, and could see that this is ancient wisdom. Actually, all of the sacred text talks about our oneness, that we're emanations of the divine, or you could also say offspring of the divine. It's they're one and the same thing. And that our
Steve,
lives are precious. Yeah.
I had a physicist reach out to me by email yesterday. He had attended one of my talks in Boston 5 years ago, and he actually received it very well because I share so much evidence in my talks that comes from those in the spirit world. And he reached out and he said, my massage therapist is trying to teach me about these things called chakras, and everything I can find online, it just sounds woo-woo to me. So you keep talking about chakras, where's your proof? And I wrote back to him and I said, I don't have proof of that. And in fact, for all I know, it could be a placebo effect. It could be real. Many see the chakras. I said, a more important question for those who are skeptical is, are they helpful? Is it helpful to your soul's growth? I said, when we cross the veil, we will absolutely know for real, are they real? But as a very wise being in spirit, one of the masters told me, you must stop trying to differentiate between what is real and what isn't real. Anything that can be created in consciousness is real and conveys information and messages. So that question, is this helpful to you, is the most important one to ask. And I don't know where I was going with that when you shared that. Oh, just the skepticism, that can be one of our biggest blocks. It keeps us from seeing the oneness and from connecting with each other. So hopefully more and more people through programs such as these will learn to set that aside long enough that we bring that right side, that intuitive flowing side, into balance with the left side. We're not saying get rid of that completely, but that's the third principle of the awakened way, is you find your way home to your true essence through the heart and through balance. Balancing left brain with right brain, balancing head with the heart, masculine and feminine. And our world is still a bit out of balance, Steve, and that's what you're so aware of. And that's what we need to do over these next 19 years to be on track with your PACE initiative, is to help people find balance. Because how many of us don't know what it's like to feel unbalanced? And that's the goal, be balanced.
Yes. Now, one of the things you brought in there, Suzanne, that's so important, you were bringing in the soul's journey. And so for me, in my own process, this whole notion of okay, I'm going to go with the soul. I'm going to follow my soul's calling. And of course, we're body, mind, and spirit. So we've got thought, our brain can say one thing, our body can say it desires another. And then there's the soul, which is where the divine or divinity actually is based within. And when we make that decision that we're going to go with the soul, that we're going to follow our soul's calling, then we go to our station in life. Then we go to the real reason that we're here. And all of the things that were happening before, I describe it as kind of a incessant tapping that was happening before. Steve, where it was like my soul or the divine was trying to get my attention, Steve, and I was saying, I'll get to that, but I'm trying to do this first, and then the cognitive dissonance thing that was going on, that was happening at the same time, of this is so exciting and so much fun, and then this other part of me saying, why are we doing this? It on one level it's fun, but isn't it kind of a superficial fun, versus maybe a deeper, lasting joy that could be a part of my life and my family's life and my work. So these were the tapping and cognitive dissonance, and worry too. Worry of, what if this could go wrong and that could go wrong. Now all of these things, the worry, the tapping, the cognitive dissonance, they all go away when we make that decision that we're going to follow our soul's calling. We go to the station in life that we were designed for. And it's not that our challenges go away. Plenty of challenges all the time. But challenges aren't a problem. That's just being alive. To be alive is to have challenges. But the really cool thing is where we're doing this, what I found is the boulders get moved out of our path. We get to our destination. This making conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040, I know it sounds impossible, but this is Spirit's goal. This isn't mine. We just in Humanities team felt into it. We heard this and we said, okay, we are in service to this. And this is what Global Oneness Summit, our master classes, Suzanne's educational programs, all of the things that we're doing, this Accelebration program, they're all in support of this whole vision, this destination, so that our generation can live consciously and our kids and future generations can live consciously on this planet. And of course, when we live consciously, it's so unbelievably fruitful. I wanted to just bring that in here. And Suzanne, you may have things that I could see your wheels turning that you want to touch on.
They're definitely turning. I can feel this young man wolf in spirit, who again was the genesis of my awakened way concept. They're all different avenues to get to the same place. You were talking, Steve, and it reminds me of so many people that we go to workshops and we watch a class and we're all excited. So how do we get that to really sink in and become part of our life? Most people, they may sit back and say, this life that I'm living now is just not working. What's missing? And it's the flow. It's the flow. I love how you brought in there that cognitive dissonance. We can identify with that. It's like when you hear music and that instrument is just a little out of tune. There's something innately in us that knows we're out of tune. But the deepest essence of you is the harmony. And so we innately know when we are in harmony with the universe. So I was, again, lying in bed this morning at 3 a.m., not able to sleep, and here's a wolf, and he reminded me of the poem that he wrote the day before he was struck and killed by lightning. And this is a little bit of a spoiler. If anybody's going to read my book, Wolf's Message, this is only part of the miracle that shows how his soul knew he was going to pass, how he left proof that we are all souls. His final poem, written the day before he passed, said this: Spirit of great healer. That's what he called Source, the great healer of all of us within. Spirit of great healer, awaken within this heart. And that's what we all want, isn't it? To be aware of our true nature right here. And then he said, peace and tranquility flow like water. That was his prayer for all of us, that we flow, that peace flow in our lives. And Steve, you were just describing how you set aside what wasn't working and got into the flow. And the final stanza of his poem, I'll get to in a second. I'm just being told, repeat that again. Spirit of great healer, awaken within this heart. Peace and tranquility flow like water. And then he wrote the day before he was struck by lightning, the time has come for the light of nature to free my soul. And the light of nature freed his soul that very next day when a bolt of lightning came out of nowhere and took him home, so that he could then from across the veil share with all of us the awakened way of living, which is available to all of us every moment. Isn't that stunning?
That is stunning. That is stunning. And for people that are just joining us that weren't here at the beginning of the program, Suzanne Giesemann's journey, she was on Air Force One with President George W. Bush, and she was working side by side with the Joint Chief of Staff. She was counsel to the Joint Chief of Staff on 9/11. So for people that are on this journey that are like, oh my God, how could I ever, I've got this job doing this thing. How could I ever follow a calling? It just seems very scary. Well, look what Suzanne's done. I mean, she's been on Air Force One with the president, and she said, hey, you know what? Time to leave this perfunctory life. I got work to do. So, I mean, if this isn't a story, well, what is a story? Truly extraordinary, Suzanne, and the contribution you're making with your books and your transformational education programs, and now a big partner in Humanity Stream Plus and the PACE initiative and the mission to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. I want to share, thank you for bringing in, that we're a nonprofit, and that was part of how you made the connection. And of course, being a nonprofit, it means, I myself actually don't even draw a salary here 18 years in. So, and it's certainly not about selling a company or going public. So this is about a mission. It's about the mission of this everlasting life mission, this eternal life mission, this limitless mission, this becoming conscious mission. And Suzanne brought in the pricing for Humanity Stream Plus. It's $497. Now, one single masterclass today costs $297 to $449. $297 to $449 for one single masterclass. This Humanity Stream Plus platform has over 25 programs on it, over 600 hours of programming, and we're adding content every week, and it's $497. So just for a teeny little bit more, you've got access to all of these programs, and there's a 7-day free trial and then a 7-day guarantee period and all of these things. And we're coming back around to it first and foremost during this hour, so you can get familiar with Suzanne's two programs, this Personal Mediumship Plus program, and then Let Your Spirit Soar. These are Suzanne's two programs that are on the platform, but there are other programs you can check out as well. Our plan is to drive that price down, 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 and deliver it in every language, to every home, in every region, in every country, to every culture, and every religion in the whole world. So that we can sit in our bedroom or on our back porch or our couch or in front of our computer or with our Apple TV phone and take in high quality conscious content. How cool is that? So because a part of this journey as we become conscious is sponging up the incredible wisdom that's there, and of course then our job is to, after we sponge it up, is to live it, express it, become a demonstration of it in our daily lives. And I find, we're doing, and pardon?
And access it ourselves moment by moment. That's where the real wisdom comes from. And that's what naturally results from aligning with the energy of all those teachers.
Yes, absolutely. Aligning, accessing it ourselves, expressing it. And that's where the real fruit is, is living it. With you and your husband. I'm happily married. I've got 2 teenagers. Also in Humanity's team, we work in a culture like this, where the container of Humanity's team is this, where Spirit was the one. Create this subscription platform. This is your mission. Create this initiative. We're like, okay, we're just trying to be arms and legs and lungs of the one presence, of the presence that has no absence, right? So that's all we're trying to do.
Steve, I told you I'd take the messages of hope on the road, and we have a big RV. It's the size of a bus. And my husband was a destroyer captain. He was 3rd in charge of the battleship Iowa. And now people go up to him when I do events and they say, "Are you associated with Suzanne Giesemann?" And he stands back and he says, "Yes, I'm the driver. I drive the bus." It's one team. We're all one team, and he's as much a part of that mission. I love that you use that lingo. It is a mission, and it's so many people tuned in are on that same mission, and together we will meet that goal. It's obvious. Times are changing. And
we will. It's happening right now. It is happening right now. And let me share, because that's a beautiful story about your husband. My wife was with me. She actually was one of the very first employees of that first company that we launched. It was called ENS. It went to about 175 people before we sold it to NEC. And then we launched a second company that went to 750 people in 2 years. My wife was along for that whole ride, when in the middle of it, probably just like you, Suzanne, I went to my wife and I said, "Stephanie, I am so sorry. There is a calling on my life here. I need to sell everything. And I need to go on a spiritual journey, and of course with my family. It was 2 years after I sold everything, before we even started Humanities Team. So, but I said, I know that I'm on the earth to do this, and I hope this can work for you because I love you dearly. But just like you, the divine had matched me with somebody who could make this just ginormous U-turn, where we're on private jets and things with the elite of Silicon Valley, and then leaving that to do this much more fruitful, much greater prosperity work that I'm doing today than what I was doing in the Valley. So, boy, what a pleasure to be with you, Suzanne. Here.
Same here, Steve. I feel like everybody listening, we found our tribe. And I said we don't want tribalism, but it's just the lingo. We found the right tune. We're playing this. We're in harmony. It's beautiful.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we are. So hey, you all, everybody watching, we're the oneness tribe, the presence tribe, the new spirituality tribe, the conscious living tribe. Yeah, except that it's not a little tribe. This is the whole world. We're talking about the 7.7 billion people, because that's what oneness means. Nobody can be left out. Nobody can be left out. Everybody's in the tribe. All right. Well, what a total delight. You're going to see Suzanne again. I'm not going to give away why, but there may be surprises in store down the road. So Suzanne Giesemann, what a total pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for spending this time with us live here today. And we're going to pull the camera back. I want you to see the studio here in Boulder, Colorado. And Jim Gray is here. There's Jim over there. All right, so this is our little studio in Boulder, Colorado. I also want to thank Dee Meyer, Garth Catterall, Noah, Nanette Kennedy, Karen Gordon. Okay, so these are some of the people in Humanities Team that made this whole program possible, and they're sending out communications. They're out on the Facebook pages. So hey, big shout out to all of you. And again, I want to big shout out to everybody watching. Thank you so much for spending quality time with us today. Yes, Suzanne, please come in.
Please just allow me a second to thank my wonderful assistant, Bev Garlip, because she's the one that made it possible to transfer. It took a lot of effort and ingenuity, those courses to you. And I could not do this work without her and the rest of my team.
All right. Yeah, thank you to Suzanne Giesemann's team. Thank you, guys. Hey, we're grateful. And so we're going to be back next week. We've got a special guest. You don't want to miss it. I'm not going to give away the guest name here right now, but 11 a.m. Pacific time, we're in 2 p.m. Eastern. We're on the air live. Look forward to being with you next week, everybody. Thank you. Have a